Hi viewers, welcome to the session. Today the topic that we are going to discuss is going to be based on the topic that we have already discussed in the earlier session, and that is none other than that of Gararufa fish that are constantly and often employed in spa settings for pedicure treatments to nibble away dead skin off the client's feet. And these Gararufa fish that are constantly used for this purpose are deliberately and purposefully starved of their natural diet, which comprises of algae and arthropods. These pedicure treatment centers that starve of the Gararufa fish of their natural diet that comprises of arthropods and algae are not concerned of the health of the Gararufa fish or the clients that who visit their pedicure treatment centers, but rather primarily concerned about the financial profit that they can make. And when we analyze it in a more detailed manner, we can come to know that Gararufa fish can potentially contract bacterial infection from humans, especially when used in spa settings for pedicure treatments. The interaction between human skin and a fish in shared water creates opportunities for cross-contamination, and the transmission can occur by several ways. And now we can discuss of the several ways that they can occur. And the first way is that humans naturally carry a variety of bacteria on their skin. When people immerse their feet in tanks containing Gararufa, bacteria from the skin can enter the water. Although many of these bacteria are harmless to humans, they could be pathogenic to fish, especially if the fish are stressed or their immune systems are compromised. Open wounds can be also another factor. If a client has open cuts or sores, there is an increased risk of bacteria and potentially other pathogens entering the water. And this not only poses a health risk to the fish, but also to other clients who may use the same tank later. Water quality also another major factor. And this comprises of inadequate water treatment and filtration, allowing bacteria levels to build up to harmful concentration in the tank. Without proper sanitation measures, such as regular water changes and effective filtration, bacteria introduced by one client can remain in the water and infect subsequent clients or the fish. Immune stress is the other factor, and the conditions in which Gararufa are kept can also affect their susceptibility to infections. Poor water quality, overcrowding, and stress from constant handling can weaken their immune system, making them more susceptible to infection, including those that might be introduced by humans. So, after looking at all this, we can come to the conclusion that Gararufa fish are mainly affected by human action. And now that we know that we only contribute for the Gararufa fish to be weakened, we need to mitigate, we have to take preventative measures. And these preventative measures include pre-screening clients, checking for skin infections or open wounds before allowing clients to use the fish spa, and maintaining water quality, regularly changing the water and using efficient filtration system to keep the water clean. Ultraviolet sterilization, using UV light to kill bacteria and other pathogens in the water. Limiting stress for fish, avoiding overcrowded conditions and ensuring the fish are well cared for to maintain their health and immune function. Regulatory compliance, adhering to local health and safety regulation to ensure that both human and fish health are protected. In this way, we can ensure the safety of the fish and the spa clients. And the other thing that I would like to discuss is about how this fish community can contribute to mitigating climate changes. Before that, we need to look at the major ecosystems that they live in, which contributes for their survival, like for the ocean. The ocean is a complex ecosystem with a chain of interaction between different species. Every link in the chain is important to support abundance in the ocean, from the slow-growing corals and sponges that provide a safe haven for fish species to feed, breed, and grow, to the phytoplankton that absorbs carbon and underpins the food web. When the oceans are bountiful, they are able to continue their vital yet often unacknowledged role as chief climate regulator. But when they are emptied, that ability wanes. So now, looking at the oceans, we can see that for the oceans, one of the biggest drivers of biodiversity loss is industrial scale fishing. Fish stocks and ocean ecosystems are in decline in many parts of the world because of overfishing and destructive techniques. Inappropriate management of the oceans is widespread, and as the latest Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report outlined, the oceans are now in serious trouble. So we can increase ocean resilience to climate change and other factors by ending overfishing and destructive fishing techniques. And in doing so, we can also mitigate climate change. The ocean is one of our greatest allies against climate breakdown, but so often it's forgotten. So, looking at it in more detail, we can see that having more fish and other marine life in the sea means more carbon sequestration. Carbon sequestration is a vital process that locks carbon emissions away. It's estimated that the oceans contain about 38,000 gigatons of carbon, and this is by far the largest reservoir of carbon on Earth. The rainforests, vital as they may be, ain't got nothing on the deep sea. Diverse and full oceans help mitigate climate change because the life in them allows for the capture and storage of carbon that would otherwise contribute to climate change in the atmosphere. The oceans are thought to have been the only net sink of human CO2, that is carbon dioxide emissions, in the last 200 years. If life on land has been the net emitter, life in the oceans has been doing the hard yards to keep us from overheating sooner. So, the way we currently fish means we are essentially in ecological debt. We are taking too much out of the ocean, getting deep into our overdraft, and we are going to pay for it in the future. But as with financial debt, the deeper we get into the hole, the harder it's going to be to climb out of it. And in some cases, the damage will be irrevocable. We need to increase fish biomass in the ocean to get back in the black, and that is going to mean some hard calls on where, how, and how much fish we take commercially. And when focusing on solution, we can come to know that we can build ocean resilience and mitigate climate change if we increase protection from industrial scale fishing. To do this, we need a network of ocean sanctuaries, sometimes referred to as marine protected areas. If we set vulnerable ocean ecosystems and other parts of the ocean off limits to commercial fishing, these areas could recover and thrive again. Marine protected areas have been shown to have benefits across the board. So, looking at it, we can also determine the solution for the climate change. So, basically, that involves lessening, reducing overfishing, and growing more fish in the sea. Letting more fish to grow in the sea. With this, I would like to conclude my discussion, and I'll see you on another topic in another session. Signing off. Bye.